Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Ascension Playground. This is Ursula. My goodness, 2026 is quite the auspicious year. So it's January and we're flowing into February, and there's so many celestial markers that I've just been waking up every morning and thinking about the muses of inspiration. It all began when I saw that Scheat, this beautiful star in Pegasus, was lighting the way for the age. Whoever has the 0 degrees Aries point carries the age. And so Pegasus constellation, along with Saturn and Neptune, are going to be at the 0 degrees Aries point come February 20th. And as Pam Gregory, this fabulous astrologer, she says that this year is a personal reset for everybody. So if there's going to be a personal reset moment, let's say for the dawning of a new age, for all of us in some ways coming online with that photonic light belt energy, the solar flares, the geomagnetic storms, that we're moving from carbon to crystalline. If that is true, then I want to make sure I have a support crew. And in my studies of art history and as a painter myself, I've just been like waking up to this idea of, well, who are the 9 muses? What is their story? I did a little video earlier yesterday and I shared it. So if you look in the other videos, you'll see a quick talk about the 9 muses and their names. But I think if this is going to be the year of a personal reset and all these auspicious markers, then why not pull together a crew? Because it's going to be creativity and working with our heart center that I believe will guide us into the next way of being this new human, either being born or we are actually waking up and being reborn ourselves. So, without further ado, if you want to learn about the 9 muses that can support you in this fabulous year of heightened creativity, focusing in on what you want, not what's happening or not what you don't want, but focusing in, training the mind to follow the heart's passion. Let me share some stories about the 9 muses, because the beautiful winged horse Pegasus works with the muses. So I believe it was Athena that sent Pegasus to find out what was happening on this mount. And working with these 9 muses, all the horse has to do is stomp its foot, right? Pegasus stomps his foot, and wellsprings of inspiration come forward. So, which muse would you choose to guide you? Is it one or is it several? Here are their stories. So, the first batch of muses were the daughters of Uranus, heaven, and earth as they collided. The second roundup of muses were the 9 daughters of Zeus or Jupiter, and okay, I'm going to say this name, Mnemosyne, which means memory or remembrance. So again, Zeus and memory. So that the muses were the powers of remembrance or reminiscence of knowledge of all that it had come to pass. So, oftentimes in art history, especially in Florence, Italy, when you go to the Uffizi Museum, you'll see paintings of Apollo, the god of light, his chariot bringing the sun across and bringing us the dawn of every new day, working with the muses. And he has the lyre that was given to him, right, by Mercury, because Mercury stole his cattle. And for Apollo to not harm Mercury, he said, just give me your lyre and we're good. So, anyway, I don't want to digress, but Apollo, the sun god, working with the sound of music, surrounded by 9 female muses. Okay, let's just go right into the first 9. So this is an image from Rest in the Muse. It's on Substack. Here we see paintings of the goddess Cleo. She's the goddess and muse of memory, history, and creativity. She rules over political relations between nations that teach us and embraces all places and times. You'll know that it is Cleo because she's usually found holding a book, parchment, and pen, and wearing laurels in her hair and contemplating. So that's the laurel leaf. Look at those images. That is the goddess of memory, Cleo. Is she going to be one of the muses working with you in 2026? Next, we have the image of Erato. This is the muse of lyric and love poetry. You know, poems and poetry bringing words to life. This is such a beautiful human ability, right? The creativity. Well, erato probably comes from the word eroticism or the erotic. Erato is the muse of lyric poetry, particularly erotic poetry and romance. In the Orphic hymn to the Muses, it is Erato who charms the sight, usually found wearing a wreath of myrtle and roses, hanging out with turtle doves and playing the lyre. Sometimes she's holding a golden arrow, symbolizing Eros, the feeling she inspires in everybody, making all those who she guides to feel worthy of being loved. So if you have issues of, am I enough? Am I lovable? Call in Erato, this beautiful muse of lyric and love poetry. Here's our next muse, Euterpe. She's the muse of music or flutes, and later lyrical poetry, probably placed in with that beautiful flute music. So you'll find her wearing a crown of flowers, holding a double piccolo or any other instrument, and being worshipped by musicians in need of inspiration and guidance in their composition. So this is the muse you petition to find divine inspiration with music, Euterpe. Now, this next muse is not necessarily the happy one. It's the interesting one. It's the apple thrown in to the garden, right? So they couldn't all be just happy go lucky. There's something about this muse of tragedy, Melpomene. I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly, but Melpomene, look at her image, the muse of tragedy. Why is it that we would call upon this muse to help guide us in our creativity? Well, it goes back to the Grecian days. They loved Greek theater. And I don't know if you remember studying some of the Greek theater in college or high school, but you know, that choir or the chorus would just kind of come in with what's called a dirge. You know, it's always like foreboding. So it's this interesting part of what makes us human. So Greek muse of theater. So she does have cheerful singing, but she sings of tragedy. Think how epic Shakespeare is. The stories shared in Shakespeare do not usually end well, but it's that bittersweet, it's love and death coming together, right? So you'll know that it's the muse of tragedy because usually she's wearing leather boots, holding a knife, and she usually has the tragic mask, the sad mask in her hand. Oftentimes, she'll be adorned with a cypress crown and luxurious dresses. So, according to legend, Melpomene is the mother of the mermaids. Oh my gosh. So, she's connected to the sirens. So, the siren song is so beautiful, but it would lead the ship's crew, oftentimes only men, to like point the ship towards the song, and then their ships would crash. and they would die. So she's the one that, again, is connected to the mother of the mermaids. She possessed beauty, wealth, and admirers, but she remained unhappy. She embodies the essence of tragedy, having everything one desires and still having one's innermost desires unfulfilled. You can be beautiful, you can sound gorgeous, but you're empty and hollow. The tragedy of this muse calling it forward. You know, it could be a certain muse of particular epochs in time. Here is Polyhymnia. Hymnia. Okay, she's the muse of hymn, harmony, and sacred poetry, meditation, geometry, rhetoric, and even agriculture. Okay, so for those of you who are gardening and living off the grid, polyhymnia. Interesting how poetry, hymns, and geometry come together. Sonic vibrations and balance. So you'll know it's polyhymnia because you'll find her in white clothing, wearing a veil, gazing off into the distance with an introspective look. She transforms feelings into music by birthing hymns with a serene and otherworldly calm. Gosh, for those of you who remember the artist Sinead O'Connor, it kind of feels like that kind of singing, otherworldly, and hymns. At the same time, I'm thinking of Snatam Kaur and the kirtan music that transports me in singing mantras into other worlds. And you're usually asked to wear white. So interesting. Polyhymnia, terpsichore or terpsichore. She's the muse of dance. Okay, dancers, guess what? Oh, this is interesting. She's regarded as the mother of the sirens who seduce sailors with their songs and dance. It's not that other muse. It's her. So the other muse is the mother of the mermaids. This one is going to seduce you with your song and dance. Interesting. Well, she's joyful and lighthearted, usually sing holding a lyre or dancing. Her name comes from the Greek delight. She delights in dancing. Doesn't seem like this one fits with the sirens, but this is what Rest in the Muse is sharing. So the other one's the mother. So she probably sent her daughter to go and sing and dance and then lure the sailors. Doesn't that sound like the biblical story that we know of the beheading of John the Baptist? Okay, so it's interesting how stories in time repeat with different names and different characters. All right, our next muse is Talia, the muse of comedy. So she's the second of the theater muses. She rules comedy and poetry that evokes the natural world. She's the joyous, the flourishing. She's still young, crowns herself with ivy, with a comic mask at hand. So hers is the happy face, not the sad one, not the tragedy. She's always laughing and loves to make others laugh. She's also the queen of mocking. So, you know, those roasts when you mock somebody and everyone laughs and we have to laugh at ourselves, the muse of comedy. It's interesting how oftentimes the antidote when there's so much fear and there's, let's just say, so much military happening. For me recently, when Portland sent out these, anyway, to meet the moment of military coming into Portland, someone came up with this idea of dressing up like a frog in a frog suit. And then just it met the moment with what I thought was amazing creativity. You know, it was just like these frogs or these animals in these suits and meeting the military and just trying to make a joke of it. It is also very much like if you're into Harry Potter. I mean, I watched all of them with my children. The Harry Potter series, when you can face in the closet your worst fear and find a way to laugh at it or mock it. Like it doesn't hold a grip over you if you find a way through comedy. So I really think that this muse, Talia, has a great gift to give us in 2026. Again, the antidote for fear is love, but sometimes the pathway to love is finding a way to find the ridiculousness in it. Um, why are we still killing one another in 2026? It just doesn't seem like it's something like we're going backwards instead of forwards as a human species. And this is not political. It's more about go to the 1,000 foot up and go, wow, how's our evolution happening? So, Talia, the muse of comedy. Here we have the next muse who I identify with so much, obviously. This is Urania, the muse of astronomy, astrology, mathematics, and all exact sciences, as well as universal love. Okay, so I have to tell you, sometimes I would see paintings in Italy of a woman with a crown of stars. And typically I would think that is a correlation to the Mother Mary, the Queen of Heaven. But now I'm going to have to look a little more carefully. Is it Urania? So she's majestic and powerful and endlessly graceful. She wears a crown of stars, and her blue dresses are always embroidered with stars. So the blue robe of the celestial heavens is also associated with Mother Mary. Okay, so she keeps a globe close to her, and she has her eyes fixed on the heavens. She can read the future in the stars and can instruct her followers to reach heavenly heights through philosophy, knowledge of the universe, and imagination. You can reach heavenly heights with your imagination. Beautiful. Thank you, Urania, this powerful muse. I'm going to underscore the muse of astrology. This next muse that we have is Calliope. She's gorgeous. She presides over eloquence and epic poetry. She's the oldest of the muses and was called by Hesiod and Ovid chief of all muses. So it's interesting how we usually have an alpha female in the grouping, right? So she's usually found writing or carrying books. She wears a golden crown, adorns herself with garlands, and has the most harmonious voice. She taught Achilles how to sing. She's considered to have inspired Homer as he wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. Interesting, right? The chief of all the muses. Ancient authors always appealed to the muses at the beginning of their work. So you call upon the muses to help you achieve excellence. Homer invokes either a muse or all the muses collectively from time to time. Many other important works included an invocation to the muse, with the most well-known remaining the one at the beginning of the Iliad, to establish with the reader that the work is divinely inspired. All right? So, boy, go back and read the first chapter of Homer's The Iliad. And this is true for all of the muses. They were referred to as virgins, though also as mothers, sometimes even after mating with river gods. Considering the knowledge they hold, they represent all aspects of the feminine: maidens, mothers, crones. They also were not to be messed with despite their softness. And like, in other words, you just don't go right up to a muse, but working with Pegasus. So there's this out of bounds creativity. The strength of it can zap you. So it's this idea of the human working with the muse. So on the screen, I'm now sharing just some examples for you in 2026. See if any of these apply. Again, this is from Rest in the Muse. So if you want help writing long form poetry, call in the muses. If you want divine guidance, studying classical literature, or learning to play an instrument, if you want support singing, or even curating your playlists, reading historical texts, visiting museums. Like there's so much to see in some of these incredible museums in Europe or wherever you are. You could ask the muses for guidance on what to focus in on. If you want support watching a comedy, to better laughing in this year of like when things go upside down, how best to laugh, embracing playfulness. If you want help taking an acting class, dance class, oh, this is a good one. If you want support and inspiration writing a love letter, remember those days of writing letters? Well, if you want to write a love letter, you can ask for divine guidance from the muses. Reading romance novels, stargazing, praying, meditating in sacred spaces, or just being in nature, you can call upon the muses. So, oh, what a year we have in front of us. Oh, what a fantastic time to witness this evolution of humanity as a species, as a collective, to witness going from carbon-based to diamond, to receiving the breath of the stars, the neutrinos, and really understanding which star families are supporting you, which muses of the 9 muses, which ones do you call upon? In any event, you can work with Pegasus, especially if you have one of the Pegasus constellation stars in your natal chart. It's fascinating to see and witness this time. So, if you want the antidote to fear or frustration, choose or consider choosing creativity. And then in quantum, co creativity, that you don't have to do it alone, that we have support to be called upon. And so, which of the 9 muses would you call upon to help support you in this now moment? Thanks, everybody, for being with me on the Ascension Playground. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye for now.